Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by Garden Geo. The original OP is Problem with My Sister, posted in r/Am I the Asshole, May 28th, 2020. Am I the asshole for firing my sister after seeing her blog? The original title is, Am I the asshole for firing my sister after seeing her blog and not rehiring her without an apology? Basically, what happened is, read my sister's blog. It was sent to me by a friend of mine who was asking if one of the characters was me. Spoiler alert, it was me. It's a couple years old and really popular. She doesn't use our family's real names, but they're very similar and use the same first letter. So think real names, Katie, Julia, Marissa, and Brad, then the fake names being Kathy, June, Marnie, and Bob. It's descriptive enough of our lives and what we do for work that my friends identified me from it. It's mostly about her and her life, but there's still a lot about us. A year ago, I had an abortion. It was during the lowest point in my life so far, and only she and my husband knew about it. She swore to me that she would take the secret to her grave. Yeah, she dedicated a whole entry to it. A couple months ago, she and her husband got laid off due to world events. I run my own business and wasn't really affected, and I offered her a job there to help her out. She's not qualified in my field, so I essentially made up a position for her so she could have a steady paycheck. She basically does data entry and other random tasks online from her home. Her blog since then has basically centered on how much she hates it. She called it demeaning work and says a bunch of bullshit about how I obviously don't respect her intelligence. I say this is bullshit because 1, she would need years of training to work any of the open positions. 2, I told her what she would do when I offered it, and she gushed about how grateful she was that I was really helping her. I called her and told her what I had read and how hurt I was. Her defense is that the blog is her online diary where she vents, and that I should know not to take any of it personally. She actually had the gall to tell me that she's hurt that I read it. Apparently, the right thing to do was ignore it. I told her off for telling the internet my secrets and dragging me online where I could be, and was, found by people who know me. She just said she did all her due diligence by changing the names, and it wasn't her fault my friend found it. We argued for a bit, it got increasingly heated, and I fired her. I told her that if she couldn't apologize or see how she was wrong here, then she wasn't who I thought she is, and she could find a job where she felt more respected. It's been a week and I haven't spoken to her at all. Her husband has been contacting me on her behalf trying to get her job back as they need the money. He claims she's sorry, but I think if she was, then she could tell me herself. My own husband is telling me I'm overreacting and that she's family, and I should just forget it. I don't agree. Am I the asshole here? Too long didn't read, sister drags me and reveals my secrets on her blog, and I fire her. Am I the asshole? Comments. Comment 1. Not the asshole. She took your secret to the internet instead of the grave and constantly bitches about her job. A diary, if intended to be private, isn't posted online for the whole world to read. For her to claim it was private is some next level delusion. If it's so awful, why the fuck does she want it back? Frankly, even if she really is sorry, would you put up with any other employee bitching how much working for you sucks online, or would you fire their ass? OP responds, that's my mentality. If I found an employee posting online about how bad a boss I was, and then how much he hates his job, I would show him the door. Comment 2. Info. Does she have her name on the blog, or did your friend find it because of her close relationship with your family? Is it only people who know your family that can link you guys to this blog, or does she outright claim authorship? OP responds, her blog name is just a fake name that shares the same initials. My friend who found it is an old high school friend that I'm not that close to anymore. Anyone that knows me or in the last decade could probably connect the dots if they read enough of the entries. I think the blog got a lot more popular since the pandemic has everyone on the internet more. The more popular it gets, I would think the more chance someone else will find it. It's just a public blog. Anyone could see it or find it on Google. Comment 3. Info. Did you go through official channels to hire her, as in all the paper and stuff the government requires? OP responds, yes, she's in a probationary period though, and I have full legal rights to fire her. Commenter 4, not the asshole. This is like the classic cautionary tale about why people should be careful about what they say online. Additional details from OP in the comments. Will it impact sister's finances? OP responds, to clarify, this won't make her homeless or anything. They have savings that they will be forced to dip into. I'm basically just putting her back into the position she would be in if I had never offered her anything. Will this impact the business? OP responds, what this post is really making me realize is how screwed I am if any of my other employees or a competitor finds her blog. You're right, it's on there forever now. Not only my abortion, which a competitor could use to hurt my business, but my whole life, from her perspective. I just can't believe she doesn't see how it affects me. The friend who sent it to me isn't even a close friend, just an old high school friend. She now knows about my darkest secret. Some embarrassing stories from my childhood that involved my sister, my parents' marriage issues, how I met my husband, and so much more. I just feel so sick right now. Do parents know? OP responds, my parents don't know yet. They asked why I fired her, but I just told them it was between us and they backed off. I'm terrified they will find it. Not only because of the abortion, but she posted a lot of stuff about them and their marriage issues. It could implode the whole family. On the family dynamics, OP, my parents have taught us our entire lives that family issues stay in the family. I mentioned in other comments she talked about our parents' marriage issues, along with all the other private moments and little fights and arguments that we have had over the years. It feels like an expose on our lives. They would absolutely freak out to see all of that out there for the world to see. I feel sick for the violation of privacy, and there is way more about them in her relationship with them than there is about me. My stomach is sinking thinking about the fight we would have. What about this post? OP responds, I have said this in another comment, but there's a huge difference between this post and her blog. My post is on a subreddit where no post remains active for more than 24 hours. Then it is lost to the thousands of posts made every day. It has no names, no identifiable information. 100 friends of hers could read this, and unless she told them that she and I had a fight about her blog and I fired her, assuming they even know she has a blog, they would have no clue it's about her. Her blog is hundreds of entries over the course of years. It contains storylines, reoccurring characters, and is followed by tens of thousands of people. There is enough detail that it's without a doubt me and my family to anyone who even kind of knows me or her or my parents. If she found this, I wouldn't apologize and I wouldn't feel hypocritical. It's comparing apples to oranges. Update point 5. Edit, after reading a lot of the responses, I have become more and more sickened by this situation. I sent my sister an email detailing how much damage this is doing to me emotionally and could do to me financially and professionally. In the email, I'm asking her to delete all entries in her blog that include private details about me, my business, or our family. I'm giving her an ultimatum. She can do as I asked, delete the entries, and I will consider it water under the bridge. We can move on with our lives and try to repair a relationship. Or she can continue to ignore me, keep her blog, and can consider me out of her life. We can see each other at family events and keep things civil, but I will no longer share my life with her. She won't be an aunt to my future children or a real sister to me. I'll update if and when she responds. Edit 2. She replied to my email asking me to FaceTime her tomorrow. She wants to talk to me after we both have had the night to cool down. I agree with her, as I am pretty heated right now. I'll update after our talk. Thank you everyone for the support. Has really opened my eyes to the gravity of the situation. Final update. I talked to my sister earlier this morning. We had a really productive conversation. I won't go into too much detail since it was a long and emotional call. The reason she had not reached out during the week we weren't talking was a bit surprising. It turns out her husband knew about the blog, but had never read it at her request. After our blow-up, he wanted to see what had made me so upset. She allowed him to read some of the entries, and he ended up siding with me. There was also some information on him and his family that he was upset about, so they were having a separate fight about that. I guess my email to her put into perspective to her how much damage her blog and the information she shared there could affect others. She showed me over the video chat that she actually deleted the whole thing. She told me that the blogging started out as a place to vent, but when it got more popular, people started emailing her, asking for updates on certain characters, i.e. her family. And she started seeing hundreds of comments. She became obsessed with it, basically. She apologized for sharing my secrets and for being ungrateful about the job. She claims that she was exaggerating in the blog to get more views and likes, and I can see that. Our relationship is damaged, but not beyond repair. She's not coming back to work for me, and said I'm just sending them a small amount of money to help cover their rent. It's not as much as she was making, but I really do love her, and I still want to help her. Once one of them gets a job, they will get back on their feet. This way, they at least have less stress. Once things start to reopen in our area, she promised to set up a regular therapy appointment where she can vent all she wants and get actual advice, as well as help for what she describes as a blogging addiction. I want to thank everyone for the comments. Some of them were harsh and some of them were crazy, but it helped a lot to figure out how I actually felt about the situation. So, for starters, the internet is a forever platform, and the fact that we're now progressing into the age of AI, where you can't even trust your own eyes and ears anymore, this is a pretty scary goddamn time. Hell, there was recently a study done where a lot of teenagers who are growing up in this kind of day and age, they just will occasionally have like NSFW deepfakes made of them by their classmates, and that is horrendous to think about. And at the same time, we're also reaching a stage where accountability is dead, because if you do something wrong, oh well, no, that was just AI. It certainly worries me a shit ton, but the reason why I bring that up is because with the amount of stuff that people are posting right now, that's kind of just of their own private lives on a TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, wherever the hell you're gonna post it, there's going to be an increase of this stuff, because this was posted way back in 2020. TikTok was still a budding offshoot of Musical.ly, and we didn't really have the same kind of short-form content culture that we do now. But it definitely had a place where it originated from, sort of like blogs like this, where it's an artificial slice of life that looks into someone's, well, idealized version of themselves, and in the process paints their family as the villains or characters in the blog. And because you assume that they'll never find it, it'll never be traced back to you, some things kind of get stretched or modified or dramatized or exaggerated or even twisted, thus painting the ones you care about and love as the villains of your current blog's plotline. We actually see this a lot on like TikToks where it's like testing my boyfriend with this and that, or filming that my boyfriend does these kind of things, or those specific out of context TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, whatever you want to, platform you want to use, where they specifically target out of context clips of their partner to make them look bad and to paint the uploader in a positive, victim-like light. And viewers eat it up because they only have the outward context of, damn, this sucks, I want to know more what's going on because I can empathize with this, or I'm just hoping that OP gets out of this situation, and, kind of actually what we deal with on this channel all the time, but it's all text-based, not video-based. But the problem then becomes when you have people who then find their significant other posting these horrifically out of context videos on the platforms that paint them in such a negative and horrific light, and the kind of relationship drama and stress that's going to then cause. Like, yeah, you're making good money and views from this, but is it worth the collapse of your relationship? I don't know, I know this is a really weird tangent to have, but it's just kind of something that, as someone who has to produce content on the internet on a daily basis, and who has kind of seen the internet go from being an extremely decentralized environment to now just 5 websites that you visit frequently, it's always something that's on my mind of just where the internet is, what it's evolving into, and where we're going to be going. I will say though, just in case it wasn't obvious, OP has every right to be upset about what her sister was blogging. I mean, you can't just tell someone you're going to take a secret to the grave and then write an entire fictionalized plotline involving people who are real and the struggles they go through with just slightly different names and call it good. It's not taking it to the grave, that's publicizing it under a different name and filing off the serial numbers. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, "Saying is not a pogo stick." The original OP is Long Condition 4731, posted to r/bin ist das Arschloch. I fucking tried. I'm guessing that's the German Am I the Asshole subreddit based upon the assemblage of it. And I'm not going to check because I don't have a good reason why I'm not. Anyways, the post was translated from German, which, if there are any odd assemblages of words, that's why. Posted December 22nd, 2023. Am I the asshole because I told my best friend that he had ruined his relationship and now has to live with it? Hi everyone, I have an old childhood friend. Let's call him Florian. Our mothers are best friends and we grew up like siblings. Florian was with Clara until about 6 months ago. They were together for over 10 years. Clara is an old school friend of ours. The three of us have been friends forever, even before they became a couple. We always did things together as a foursome. My boyfriend, Clara, him, and me, and we even went on vacation together quite often. A little over a year ago, Florian came to me and said he felt like he was missing out on something and wanted to try an open relationship with Clara. He wanted advice on how to bring it up. I told him I thought it was a really stupid idea and didn't believe Clara would want it. To make a long story short, she did not want it, so he gave her an ultimatum. After he pressured her into the open relationship, he immediately started something with his colleague. I think she was the reason for the open relationship. Clara was devastated. When we had another date, we had a girls' night out. That's where she met Mark. There was a huge spark between them and they started dating. I'm not proud of it, but I told Florian he absolutely had to stop with that crap if he didn't want to lose her. He did not take me seriously. Not until she left him for Mark. I was always there for him and comforted him. He wanted me to cut off contact with her and talked badly about her. I told him I'd always be there for him, but I wasn't going to give up our friendship. I told him he had to stop talking badly about her because she didn't deserve it. And that's just the risk of an open relationship. Yesterday, we went out to dinner with friends, and she joined us on her own. We were already a little tipsy by then, and he immediately said, "Oh, trouble in paradise. Guess he was the wrong guy for you after all." The mood was instantly ruined. She said she hadn't brought him along out of respect. He said she could have thought about it before she cheated. I told him to just drop it. Then he started lashing out at me, saying I was so disloyal and that I should have stopped it, and a lot of other things. Unfortunately, I got a bit louder and told him he was solely responsible for the end of his relationship and that he should stop always blaming everyone else. He left and hasn't answered his phone or replied since. I called his mom, and she said he doesn't want to talk to me and that she's disappointed I'm not standing by him. I feel so awful about it. Am I the asshole? Verdict, not the asshole. Nicht das Arschloch. Man, I have no idea. I'm not even gonna Google it because that means I have to re-record stuff. So those of you who speak German, you guys get a laugh at me. Relevant comments. Cautious Yak 6022. NDA. Or not the asshole. You were honest. I personally think that's good too. I also can't understand his whining right now. He wanted an open relationship. Immediately starts something with his colleague. But his girlfriend cheats? Oh, how I always love stuff like this. They want an open relationship, but when the woman then also has another guy, the world ends. You should think about that beforehand. Hope he responds, I don't know why he said that about cheating either, especially since we all know how it really was. I also don't understand the stupid trend with an open relationship, but I still feel like I've left him in the lurch. Update 1, December 24th, 2023, the next day. Update 1. Hello everyone. Thank you for all your comments. My guilty conscience has been clouding my judgment. To be honest, I still feel really guilty. This whole mess is even affecting our families now. Sad emoji. We usually celebrate his 26th birthday with his family. This tradition didn't happen during the pandemic. Yesterday, my mother called me downstairs and his mother was there. She said that my mother had told her a different story about that evening and asked if I could please tell her my side of the story. In his version, Clara and Mark arrived at the restaurant hand in hand, and they kept teasing each other, saying things like, Opening up about the relationship was the best thing that ever happened to me. Otherwise, I would have never met the love of my life, etc. He eventually had enough and asked if they could stop teasing. I guess I would have said, serves you right, you wouldn't listen to me. Now she's found someone better, and you're alone. I mean, seriously? I set the record straight, and I was truly moved to tears that he would say such things about me after everything I've done for him. His mom comforted me and said she'd give him a piece of her mind. She must have confronted him because he called me afterward quite angry and started yelling at me. I hung up and texted him, I know you're hurt, but that doesn't give you the right to treat me or anyone else like that and spread lies. I don't want any contact with you for now because the friendship is just toxic and is draining me mentally. I hope you realize that with your behavior, you'll lose everyone around you. Start taking responsibility already. I love you, and I'm ready to give you a second chance someday, but right now, I need some space. I blocked him after that. His family is coming to visit us on the 26th without him. Since Clara, he, and I have the same circle of friends, most of his friends have already turned their backs on him. They only invited him to dinner for my sake. I know it sounds silly, but I feel like my heart has been broken. I hope he'll be back to his old self soon and heal. Thank you, Merry Christmas. Relevant comments. LRE92. NDA, not the asshole. My guy is realizing that he took someone for granted and probably regrets that someone else recognized her worth and appreciates her, honestly. He's still in the anger phase of the 5 stages of grief. Next comes bargaining, he'll try to win her back, depression, I can't shake it off, and hopefully acceptance, mess around, found out. If you're ready for it, gentle questions. Why are you so mad? How can we get past this? Can help, but he might not be able to move out of the anger or bargaining phase. Too much delusional thinking. Hope he responds. I tried to have a clarifying conversation with him, but he's not ready for it yet. I understand that he's angry, but I believe he'll only get to the anger phase once he seriously acknowledges his mistakes. Update 2, added to the original post, January 3rd, 2024, 9 days later. Update 2. Hello, everyone. First of all, I wish you all a Happy New Year and wanted to thank you for the numerous comments. I received a notification that my update was deleted because it violated the rules. I've now reposted it here. Florian is now history. I don't know what's wrong with him, but I don't care anymore. He's found a new target for his anger, namely me. He gossiped to our friends saying that I was to blame for his relationship breaking up. He claimed I had set Clara up with Mark. Remember, I even warned him that Mark was a threat. Apparently, a few other unpleasant insults were exchanged when others contradicted him. He gave them an ultimatum. Clara and me, or him. Well, the others told him they didn't want anything to do with him anymore because they were simply fed up with his antics and uninvited him from our New Year's trip. One of the group has a cabin in Austria and we go there every year for New Year's. I've completely cut off contact with him now. In his frenzy to badmouth me, he even told some stories that only he knows about me. I just can't trust him anymore. I also have to say that it felt incredibly good to meet up with my friends without him. There was no drama, and we were able to really talk about what's going on in our lives again. It was truly relaxing and wonderful. I wish Florian all the best, but I don't need someone like him in my life. I know, because this worked out so well previously, I'll give another ultimatum. Yeah, I'll do it. Because, the first ultimatum I gave out, she ended up agreeing with it, so, the ultimatums work, and obviously it'll work with me, so it'll work this time. Yeah. No. It'll definitely work. And I'll feed them my own version of what happened, and they'll see me for what I really am, the victim here. I almost wonder if he fed his mom such a delusional version of events of hoping it would be so shocking that she wouldn't even try to find out what actually happened, and just assume that this is something not even worth pursuing because of how horrendous it was, and take a step back, thus never getting a secondary POV of what actually happened. Dude, you opened up the relationship to cheat. You just wanted a free pass at cheating without any guilt, then Clara ended up finding someone who actually treated her right, and she moved on. You were warned numerous times throughout this, and it came and it bit you in the ass, and no, it's not my fault, it's everyone else's fault. You don't understand, I got permission to do this. She didn't get permission to leave me, so it's her fault. Alright guys, what are you gonna choose? Me, who's making up stories about everyone around me so that way I sound like the victim, or the people who tried to warn me that I was making a massive mistake that I just simply brushed off and now I blame them for it? I actually feel really bad for, like, the dude's mom in this one because it's obvious she's friends with, like, everyone else's moms, and now it's just like, great, my idiot son is ruining my friendships because he's just, well, this. I do wonder if things ever improved over time or if he was just permanently ostracized because of his behavior, which, like, both options are totally understandable. The ostracization one definitely more so than the other. Because this is like goofy behavior on his end, and he got exactly what other people warned him would happen. This post was collected by Shark Ava, and their tagline is, "You get what you pay for, and Reddit is free." The original OP is Sufficient Strike 97 posted in r/Legal Advice UK the 20th of March 2026. My children's father has died intestate, England. His family have emptied his bank accounts. What do I do? Intestate means they do not have a will. Hello, my children's dad passed away rather suddenly and unexpectedly. He did not have a will, which means the children are his sole beneficiaries. They are both under 18. However, his family members have closed his bank and savings accounts and withdrawn all funds. They signed the indemnity form with Santander UK, and apparently for balances under 50k pounds, this alongside death certificate and ID is considered sufficient proof of entitlement. This means money that is legally my children's is now neither held in trust for them or available to be placed in trust for them. The person I spoke to at Santander today just sort of said that they acted within their policy, and that is that. But this doesn't seem right. It isn't just about the money, but I want the correct process to be followed in the interests of the children. Secondly, a workplace pension for a job he left in 2022 has also been claimed by another person. However, we were given no opportunity to identify the children as potential beneficiaries or to prove their financial dependency on their dad. Is this something I am also able to challenge? Should the trustees have considered the children when reaching a decision? This is purely in respect of a pension, not a death in service benefit. Thank you for all advice, greatly appreciated. Edit, he was unmarried and not in a civil partnership. They are his only children. Comment, and yet another Andrew. Santander will try to brush you off, but they have distributed funds to persons not entitled to them. They still owe the funds to, trustees for, your children, and will need, not your concern, to reclaim them from the relatives under the indemnity form. That is what the indemnity form is for. Obi responds, thank you for this. They said that the preferred course would be for me to rectify directly with his family. But I don't feel comfortable doing this or feel it is appropriate. The relationship was very abusive, him towards me. But his family, of course, think I'm the bad party. The kids had a relationship with him, were in regular contact, went to stay regularly at his house, etc. And in all honesty, I feel whether they like me or not shouldn't factor into anything when it is something legal. I just want to ensure things are done right for the children's futures. User Georgie Eagle comments, they're trying to fob you off. It doesn't matter what their preferred course of action is. That's just whatever is less work for them. You need to ring them back and tell them you do not accept this. It is not possible for you to resolve it with the family and follow the rest of the advice here. They have given out the funds to the wrong person and will need to release them to the trustee for your kids. Then, what they do with the money given to someone else is their problem. User MarvinPA83 comments, yes, but not a phone call, solicitor's letter. Then they know you're serious. User NoPass9857 comments, you need to seek legal advice here. Your children should be entitled to inherit their father's estate, and this should be held in trust for them until they are 18. Have you tried reaching out to their father's family regarding the money? OP responds, thank you. I have met with a solicitor this morning, but as I don't really have any money for legal fees, I'm limited in what can be done to help. The family have not really been forthcoming with any information. I was only informed he doesn't have a will because the children were found to be beneficiaries for his death in service policy, and one of the banks said a will was needed to set up a statutory trust for the funds to be deposited to. I asked about the will and only then was told there isn't one. No past 9857 comments. The legal fees can be paid out of the money gathered in the estate. I know it sucks taking money from the kids, but it's better than no money. User Skidkipper comments. My wife recently died and I'm trying to get benefit of an old pension she had. As part of the paperwork I've had to submit to the pension company, I had to declare our 2 children. Different companies may have different procedures, but it's worth contacting the pension provider. His family may well have committed fraud by not declaring the children to them. OP responds, "Thank you for this. This is useful to know. If the trustees have taken the children into consideration and decided there is someone they feel is more appropriate, then I think I perhaps just have to accept that. However, it doesn't sound like they were aware of the fact he had children or that the children were financial dependents of his. I'm very sorry for your loss." Update, the 3rd of June, 2026, 3 months later. I didn't report to the police in the end, as even though it doesn't technically matter how much money is involved, it was a very small sum that Santander released. I don't want the stress of any legal proceedings to impact my children further when they're already going through such a difficult time. It came to light shortly after I made this post that a pension had been paid out. The children were not declared by the person who had notified the pension provider of their dad's death and received the funds, and therefore they were not considered as potential beneficiaries. I contacted the company to request they consider the children and the full facts of the situation. The company recalled the funds, and the children were identified by the trustees as the rightful beneficiaries for the death benefits in relation to this pension. We're waiting to hear back about a further workplace pension, but I'm hoping this may also be allocated to the children for after they turn 18. All the money they have received from this pension and their dad's death and service policy is now in a secure trust for them to access when they reach adulthood. I unfortunately think that their dad's family think I have personally received money, and I think their behavior possibly stems from desperately trying to prevent me receiving anything. But it was never about me, and the money was never, ever going to be mine, nor would I want it to be, which has led to an extremely sad and frankly quite disgusting situation in which a grandparent has tried to actively defraud their own grandchildren. My children still haven't received any of their personal possessions from their dad's house back, which has led to a lot of upset, confusion, and prolonged the raw feelings of grief. But I'm trying my best to replace things as and when I can afford to do so. Most of these items will have had no monetary value or very little, but so much sentimental value to my children. You can imagine how much hurt this has caused. The family paid for the funeral, and I did receive some messages from the family demanding that money received will need to be paid to them to cover funeral costs. My details were also passed on to creditors for debt recovery, again, by the family. But I have confirmation that any money that has been allocated to the children is outside of the estate, so can't be used for either of those purposes, and the estate has zero entitlement to these funds. When inquiring about their dad's bank accounts, I was mainly concerned with trying to locate some junior ISAs that he had told me he had set up, and over a number of years, he took money from both children to save for them in these ISAs. We were talking hundreds of pounds for their birthday, Christmas, Easter, and pocket money. It has now come to light that these junior individual savings accounts do exist. He just never deposited a penny of the money he took from them. Each child's JISA account had less than 11 pounds in it. I haven't told the children and have now had the JISAs transferred to my trust, and I've been making small but regular deposits to try and build up an amount of money similar to what their dad took, or rather stole, from them over the years. I will never tell them about the reality of these accounts because I don't think more hurt is needed for them. The whole situation is absolutely unimaginable for any family to be going through, but one that could have been handled in a way that was so much better, especially as minor children are concerned. I find it extremely sad that wasn't done for the children's sake, but grief compels people to behave in ways they might not usually. I just had to do my job as a mom to actively protect the interests of my children, and that is what I have done, I hope. If thinking badly of me grants some comfort to his family, then I can live with that, because the only opinions I actually care about in this situation are my children's. I am extremely grateful for all the advice and guidance provided. Truly thankful for and appreciative of all the time taken to respond to me. Comments. Lawrence Force. How awful of his family to do this, but good on you for making sure your children receive what is rightfully theirs. I would perhaps consider making a police report about their missing belongings. As someone who has lost both parents, sentimental items hold huge value as you process grief, and so it may help your children if you can retrieve anything. A visit from the police might prompt his family to do the honorable thing and return them to your children. Opie responds, "Thank you. From what I can understand, he was between houses. He still has his soul house, but was in the process of moving in with his girlfriend. My son has been told that their things are at his dad's girlfriend's house. I understand it has been a very difficult time for her, and given the circumstances of his passing, I really do feel sorry for her, but it is also 4 months since he passed, and they have not had a single one of their belongings returned. I don't know her address or even her full name. My son has asked his dad's family multiple times about getting their belongings back, but usually gets a non-committal sort of reply that he's getting frustrated at. He has been given a date for the return of belongings, but if that doesn't materialize, then I will speak to the police. It just seems like it could so simply be resolved without that being needed, but the family and his girlfriend just don't at all seem willing. It's a really upsetting situation, not only because my children are suffering, but because he was horribly abusive to me while we were together, and his attempts to control and manipulate continue right up until his death. Yet it is me who his family are painting as the bad person. I was in the process of pursuing a prosecution for the abuse he put me through too, which of course can't be prosecuted for now either. I have a lot of mixed feelings, but ultimately just want to do what's right for my children. Hopefully a peaceful life is in the near future." Lawrence Force responds, "It sounds like an awful situation all around, but you're doing the right thing, and it's very kind of you to have empathy for his girlfriend even after it all. You might want to consider some counseling for yourself at some point to help give you closure about the abuse you endured, since you were pursuing prosecution prior to his death." Opie responds, "Thank you. My reason for seeking a prosecution was because I knew his pattern of behavior was just going to continue. As vile as it sounds for me to say, I know that he can't cause further harm to anyone else now. However, I do wish that had come about because of the justice system rather than because of his death. I have support from a brilliant local charity, and I'm on a waiting list for some specific counseling/therapy, which will hopefully help. His family's behavior has caused me to feel an extreme amount of anxiety too, but I'm hoping that it'll all settle down as they process their grief. I've had contact with a solicitor who works closely with the charity I receive support from, so if things don't resolve, I'll seek their advice as well as speaking to the police." User Floss147 comments, "You are a wonderful mother. You're doing all the right things to protect your children, and I truly commend you for that. You should look at reporting it to the police for their belongings so your children can see you fight for them. You should also give them the space to talk about them. It may not all be positive memories, but it'll give them the outlet to feel heard. If they do have negative memories, you can tell them that people are complicated, and while not everyone is good, he did love them, even if he didn't always show it in the best way, and reaffirm your unconditional love for them. I wish you all the best." Opie responds, "Thank you, this is what I've done. Open conversations about him are welcomed, not only by me, but by my family and friends. I've explained to my eldest that people are very complicated and that sometimes people make choices that hurt others, and that it is okay to feel a lot of mixed emotions rather than only one thing. I have encouraged them to engage with grief services too, as I know having a truly impartial third party might be better for them in some instances as well. They are allowed to grieve in whatever way they feel best in our home. They can display pictures of him, etc. if they choose to. There has been a lot of hurt and confusion over the whole situation as our eldest is a teenager and had a lot of thoughts and feelings about what should happen regarding the funeral and his dad's remains, but that seemingly wasn't ever acknowledged. The family arranged the funeral entirely and didn't really engage with the children about their wishes or thoughts, which again is very sad, but it is what it is. I have had to spend a lot of time reassuring them that if anything were to happen to me, that they would be heard and their wishes taken into account. But also that I'm in very good health and going nowhere because they also have an extreme amount of anxiety about me dying now, which is only natural. It's been tricky to know how to navigate the situation best, as I don't really have any comparable experience to draw on from my own life, but I hope they know I am trying my best for them. User Starfish Pizza. Unfortunately, I've seen this happen many times also in my own family. When a family member dies, it seems that everyone is only after what they can gain from the situation. A sad state of affairs. I'm sorry you have to go through it all. OP responds, "It's all very strange. I initially wasn't bothered about money, but then knowing people were taking what actually belongs to my children, and that they are too young to speak up for themselves, I knew that I had to be the one to advocate for them. If the roles were reversed, I would absolutely hope that their dad would have taken the same steps that I have. I'm sorry that you've experienced similar situations in your own family." God damn, the dad side of the family just sucks. Like, on top of them making a mad dash for all of the dad's money after he dies so they can take it for themselves, completely ignoring the law that it would go to the children, the dad, falling not too far from the tree, turns out was pocketing all of their money as they were growing up. Christmas, birthdays, just pocket change. "Oh, don't worry, I'll put this into a savings account for you." He turns around and goes to the corner store and probably buys some cigarettes or something. It's just gross. Gross behavior right there. Just stealing from your own child. I guess I know there's gonna be those comments, well, technically speaking, as long as you're a minor, it is their money. But if that's the argument you're making, where it's based on a technicality for them to do something wrong, like, is that really the hill that you want to be dying on there? And that's not even touching upon the father's treatment of OP and the abuse that she suffered under his wrath. Like, this whole situation is fucked, and I know OP was mostly focused on her children and getting them what they deserved, but I cannot imagine that this was easy at all, to have to try and fight the family of the abuser, trying to essentially get back what is rightfully your children's and suppressing all of the emotions that would come with that in order to do right by the kids that are now looking up to you because you're all they have left in terms of parents. Like, I don't think they're really gonna want to have to deal with, like, the dad side of the family if this is the kind of shit they're pulling. Like, that's gotta suck. And they're very well aware of what's going on, at least to the extent of when it comes to their belongings, the children's belongings that they're refusing to turn over. Like, seriously? Like, I understand falling for the siren song of your bastard son that he's the victim and being mad at his ex. But are you actually going to punish the children because of your dislike of OP? God damn. Oh my god. Okay, so the biggest benefit that I'm really hoping... By the way, this is the outro that I'm hoping for when I actually manage to get, like, the new office space set up, is being able to record outside of the vocal booth, because while the vocal booth provides really good audio, and right now the door is open because it is so goddamn hot, so sorry if you hear an echo, but it just boils me in here. And I'm really hoping that, like, once I can move out of here, that I can just be in a room that won't just cook me alive. Oh, the cold air feels so good right now. That's why I'm speaking a bit lower than normal, because I can hear the echo. I'm not sure if the mic is picking up, but I can definitely hear it because that room is empty in preparation for skim coating. But oh my god. Anyways, gamer subs, use code Oz at checkout. I've noticed a lot more of you are picking up flavors now, which tells me the Oz cups might actually be arriving right now. Or the free samples arrived and you decided, yeah, this is pretty good. Yeah, I'll give this a shot. Anyways, code Oz, check out. That'd be super cool if you did that. It supports the channel directly. You got 10% off too, so it's a win-win. You'll get cheaper caffeine and it supports the channel directly. Anyways, I'll see you all next time.